What is going on, everybody? Back at it with another episode of the Last Lap podcast here for you. After a short hiatus, we are back and we are full go. Let's get right into it. Alrighty, you guys, thank you again for tuning in to today's show. It has been a while. It's been a couple of weeks, and there's a couple of reasons for that I want to get into before we jump into what you're here for, the track and field. And that is mostly because of this. My other mic went out. Kind of sad, unfortunate stuff. But got the new mic, and then there was more issues with just, how to make it all work. I'm really new at this thing. As you can tell, this is still a very new show. And so if you're watching for the first time, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can keep the show growing. But from here on out, we're going to do new episodes every single Monday for sure on the dot, and then maybe one sprinkled in throughout the other back half of the week as well. But with that being said, there is so much amazing and exciting track and field news to get into. Indoor is in full swing. This is the second best week of the indoor season outside of NCAA Nationals, at least for the college kids, with the conference championships that have taken place this past weekend. Now, there's actually still a few going on as I record this. The MPSF Conference Championship is Sunday, which is interesting. It's very interesting, but that's the way they like to do it. So jumping into the power conferences, who all their championships are already complete, and I really think the best place to start here would be the Big 12. The Big 12 had a lot of interesting things happen. If you're able to watch any of those races, the mile was super, super exciting, with Carter Cutting winning the mile and a slow time of 4:05. He's a much better miler than that, but as many of these championship races end up being, it's a very tactical, strategic affair, and that's exactly what happened. And my goodness, if you haven't seen Carter Cutting's last 200 meters, it was explosive. That kick could win him NCAAs. We're going to do a whole predictions show later at some point before Nationals, but that kick could win him NCAAs. In a year where maybe, you still have Gary Martin, who's going to do very well. We'll see what he ends up deciding to do. If he goes 3K mile or whatever he wants to do, he'll be the favorite in that. But, the mile maybe doesn't have as many of the superstars as it has like last year and past years. And someone like Carter might be able to sneak in there, especially if Gary Martin's maybe not having an amazing day. But yeah, that was an awesome race. And then as well, you had a weird 5K where Isaac Hennegren went out way too fast and then ended up paying the price for it. On the women's side, you had Jane Hengren win the 3K in 8:46. I'm going to forget the account, posted her PRs and said she's a freshman girl and there's, men in the Division I level that don't have these type of PRs. And that is absolutely true. 8:46 at altitude, by the way. It's a slight altitude there in Lubbock, but you do get a conversion there. And so Jane is just had an awesome indoor season. She continues to grow on that. Riley Chamberlain as well, winning the 800. I think she's probably the favorite to win the mile in NCAAs. We'll get into that more later, but she has got to be considered one of the front runners and one of the favorites. And then as well, I just want to touch on the DMR here with Tayvon Kitchen. Once again, kind of like Carter Cutting having this amazing kick. I'm very curious to see how Tayvon can compete at NCAAs and where he stacks up in that competition. He's got the 8th fastest time in history already as an 18-year-old, or I guess he might be 19 now, as a freshman at BYU. And you know what? He might get on the podium for the 5 and the 3, or whatever they decide to put him in. If they decide to run him in the DMR, the 5 and the 3, that look for him to really, really be a factor there. SEC's not a very much of a distance powerhouse league, but there was some exciting stuff with Doris Lemongoy winning the 3K out there, and the guy from, I don't know why I can't think of his name, but the Missouri athlete that won the mile and 3K as well. And wanted to jump into the Big Ten here. We'll spend a little bit more time a little later on the whole Connor Burns controversy. But if you want to talk about somebody who, if you leave it up to a kick, is probably going to win most of the time, that's Simeon Birnbaum. I actually love the fact that he ran the 3K and 5K. I would love, personal opinion, you can totally disagree with this, but I love the fact that or if Simeon were to move up to a 3K, 5K, and just still have that just awesome kick in his arsenal, but be able to survive for 3 to 5K and then unleash that, I think it would make him so lethal on the championship level. And, he wants to be a miler from the sounds of it. You think he loves the 1,500 mile. But for him, if he were to really, really jump in and be a factor in the 3 and 5K, I think his kick would be absolutely explosive, absolutely legendary. Wanted to just really fast show you the top times in Division 1 for the mile, 3K, 5K as we go into championships, who is in and who's out. So as we sit right now, the 16th place miler, this is always ridiculous. It's 353.86 right now with Thomas Palfrey. Oh no, sorry, that's 15th. 353.9. An athlete from South Carolina, Jaquid. Jaquid, we're gonna go with that. That's his first name. So yeah, he is absolutely lethal. Top time right now is Isaiah Givens from Colorado, who has run a converted 351. His actual time, it was converted from altitude, was 357. And he ran that at the Potts Invitational. So look for that. See if he can prove his altitude conversion right. The 3K, you got Marco Langen at 734. And you've got Tayvon Kitchen at third. You got Colton Sands from North Carolina at second. And the 16th place time is an athlete from Washington, Ruben Reyna Jr. at 7:42, which is just absolutely disgusting that is 16th place. Really interesting stuff here that just with Marco Langen, if any of you guys were able to watch his interview from a couple of weeks ago, really, really funny interview. I think he's obviously trying to create this persona and this way he talks and stuff, but it's like so many cliches stacked on top of each other. I actually maybe want to do a whole sidebar about this another time, but I think it's actually great for track and field that someone like Marco exists, someone that is really just not afraid to like be kind of an edgy personality, and like he really talked badly about Gary Martin. Well, I don't know about badly, but he basically called Gary out for scratching and not being there, which is super funny. He's if you haven't had the opportunity to watch his post race press conference at the BU Valentine Invite, it's worth your time. It's worth the 2 or 3 minutes. But overall, I think he's actually very good for the sport. A lot of people dislike Marco, and I think that's actually part of the reason why he's good for the sport. Oftentimes, I feel like in track and field, we just kind of like all the top guys. But people like Jakob, Josh Kerr, and even Marco, he's not to that level, obviously. But if he keeps progressing, he's a fun personality, and he definitely reflects that. So yes, the range right now is 8 seconds from 1st to 16th. So that should be an awesome race. I feel like the 3K is always the most fun race at indoors because it just where you get those milers, the DMR people, the 5K runners, they all combine for this 3K, and it's this perfect battle of balance of strength and speed and take it out hard or kick or whatever you want to do in that regard. So I'm very excited for that 3K. And then top 5K athlete is obviously Hoptum Samuel in 13:05. Marco Langen right behind him actually has the same time down to the 100th of a second. They both run 13:05.21. And they did it at the same meet, as I'm sure you remember. And then Gary Martin right there as well in 13:05.57. So really, that's going to be a really fun battle to see. And currently, you've got in 16th place, you've got Evan Jenkins from Washington in 13:22. The progression of the 5K and the 3K over the past couple of years is just mind-boggling to me. Even the mile as well. We can't forget the mile of just, if you look at, who's the last person into NCAAs every year, how faster that person has gotten year over year over year. The depth of the NCAA right now is just absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, it's gonna create for a fun meet. I feel feel like there's way more balance in years past. There's no huge front runners, and it'll just, we'll break into nationals more as we get closer to the meet. But you can't help but watch the conference meets and get really, really excited about what's coming up with nationals, and especially seeing Simeon Birnbaum win the 3 and 5K. It's going to be a lot of fun to see some of those kickers get into it that maybe don't have that top time like Hoffman Samuel, but it's going to be a blast. So maybe just a couple other notes. The Iowa State women won the DMR. We forgot to mention that in the Big 12 breakdown there. But yes, Nationals is coming right up, March 13th to the 14th, and it is going to be exciting. Stay tuned with the Last Lap podcast, and we will jump into it and break it down way, way more. But wanted to switch gears to a national meet that already took place, and that would be the USATF Indoor Track and Field National Championships. And let me tell you, this was one heck of a weekend for racing, especially for these professionals, and especially for Cole Hocker as he edged out elite Olympians Yard Nagoose and Nico Young in one of the most exciting finishes we'll all see. They were all under 740, and they were all right within that fine margin of each other. And so that was super, super exciting. And really, and then you came back in the 1500, you saw Nathan Green really shockingly, I guess, run away from Hocker and Nagoose with a time of 3:37. They made it a kickers race, and this is kind of what Nathan Green was famous for in the NCAA, was just kind of coming out there and winning the kickers races. But I wanted to quickly touch upon the kind of the big stars from that mile race of Cole Hocker and Yard Nagoose. And really, I guess Cole Hocker's had a phenomenal indoor season. I have had a knock on Cole Hocker in the past that he only is really fit for World Championships and Olympics, which, by the way, if you're going to be fit for any time throughout the year, that is the time to do it. But it was kind of disappointing because you'd watch him all year long and you're like, oh man, does he still have it? Does he, is he still good? Like, is he the Olympic champion that he was in August? And then, USA's rolls around and he dominates, and I guess in the 5K, he lost in the mile. And then he ends up winning another global title, this time at the 5K. But this indoor season, it feels like he has really transformed with getting the American record in the mile, winning some of these big indoor races, and just kind of proving that, he can be good for more than just when he's peaking, which I think is super awesome. It's great for the sport. It makes it way more exciting to watch like regular season type races. And so I've loved seeing him do that. But the one thing, and we're getting real nitpicky now with Cole Hocker, the one thing he really has yet to do is pull off a double national championship in the same meet. You saw at the Olympic trials, he went for the 1500 and 5K, and he made it in the 1500, but didn't even qualify in the 5K. Fast forward to last year in outdoors, he gets beat in the mile, the 1500, takes third in that, and then goes and wins the 5K. So he's been able to win both, but he can't exactly put them together. Bring that all the way forward. He wins the 5K World Championships after getting DQ'd in the mile, which I think, by the way, is the only reason he won the 5K title, but we can talk about that another day, that he was way more fresh for the 5K. But fast forward to this weekend, he wins the 3K. He gets the harder event out of the way, or maybe not harder, but longer event out of the way first, and then is left with the mile and ends up taking like 6th place in the mile, which is kind of surprising. I mean, it's hard to expect him to win every race he steps on the line to do, but it's just the 3K was just this perfect blend of speed, strategy, and really just him showing off like all of his tactics of why he's such a seasoned pro, right? But the mile, he went out hard, and it's like, well, he went to the front, and it's almost like everyone said, we're not falling for that again, and then they just took it from him. He was never able to get back into the mix. So really, really interesting stuff. Obviously, he's still super good. Obviously, he's still the best, middle long distance runner in America right now. And I believe he's still the face of track and field as a whole right now. With you got, Jakob getting Achilles surgery. Kerr hasn't been the same really this indoors. And, Nagus has not been what he once was. There's really no Mo Farah-like figure in the 3K, 5K that can just have that personality and everything. So I think Cole Hocker is the face of track and field as a whole right now, especially here in America. But yeah, I actually thought for sure once I saw who he beat in the 5K or the 3K that he would maybe Nagus would give him a challenge, but that was about it. But that was not the case. But all right, that's gonna go ahead and do it. We're gonna end up wrapping it up there. Just really wanted to finish with some big takeaways with indoor championships coming up. Hocker being the man and Nagus and Young finally turning in some good performances. I feel like it's been a while. But ultimately, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for listening to the Last Lap podcast. If you have made it this far, please like this video and please subscribe as well. We are definitely trying to grow the show. I once again apologize for being off for a couple of weeks, but that is going to change. We are going to be on it. This microphone works now, thank goodness, and I have a good mic. Yay! We're moving up in the world, ladies and gentlemen. No more Amazon crappy Amazon mic. So the audio is going to be crisp and clear from here on out. Same with the analysis. We're going to be here breaking down track and field once or twice a week, at least every Monday, for sure. You can always count on that. Breaking down the top events over the weekend. And yeah, ultimately, I'm just excited for what the rest of indoor has in store and going into outdoor. This is going to be a fun track season as people chase times and really try to get after it. But thank you once again for tuning in. And this is and always will be the Last Lap podcast. Let's get it, baby.